Our last notebook check ended at page 145, so I'm going to pick up at 146 with the next notebook check. This is the sheet that should be on page 146. 147 is a fold over, and it should be this sheet. 148 is also a fold over, and it's your solving one-step equation sheet. 149 through 151 should be the equation task card pages that we're working on. 152 and 153 should be your multiplication equations and division equations. It's one sheet but goes across 2 pages. 154 should be your equation and word problems with decimal sheet. 155 is blank. 156 and 157 should be a one sheet that goes across 2 pages, and it's on solving equations with variables. Number 1 should be x over 2.34, or 2 3400ths, and it's problems 1 through 20. Page 158 should be the sheet where we matched up the solve for x and matched up the equation with the solution. 159 should be the solutions, the actual work that you did on page 158. So 159 should be the work for that. 160 should be your adding and subtracting fractions equations. And 161 should be the solutions for that. So showing your work on page 161 for 160. 162 should be your multiplying and dividing fraction equation math mix paper. All of those were math mix papers, by the way. And on 163 you should have the solutions for 162, showing your work for the work you did on 162. 164 should be your equation problem solving sheet, and I don't have a copy of that in here, but it's your equation problem solving sheet. 165 should be your warm-up that we did on January 8th, where we had to identify if the expression was, well, if the problem was an inequality expression or an equation. 166 should be your one-step equation word problems. Numbers 1 through 8 on this page. And then 167 should be the remaining problems for that, 9 through 14. 168 should be using substitution to solve problems sheet. And 169 should be notes, writing equations from word problems. The first problem begins with Carter.
This is just a reminder that the leadership team meeting is starting in the media center at this time. Leadership team in the media center.
170 should be your hands-on equation verbal problems. The first problem starting Harper went to the mall and spent $21. This is page 170. 171 should be your inequality story sheet that you have for homework. 171. 172 should be your properties of inequalities handout sheet. 173 should be inequalities and number lines step-by-step lesson sheet, which is more information on graphing inequalities and knowing when to put an open and when to put a closed circle and which way to draw the arrows. 174 is translating phrases. 175 is inequalities with fractions and decimals. 176, and this 175 page should have 1 through 3. And then 176 should have the remaining problems for fractions, inequalities with fractions and decimals, problems 4 through 8. 177 should be graphing inequalities, and it's a fold over. So it should be this sheet. And it was a fold over. As soon as I can open it. Graphing inequalities. And that can be folded over. 178 and 179 should be a graded assignment that went in on your report for your report card for second quarter, and it's inequalities and number lines independent practice worksheet. 180 and 181 is inequalities and number lines matching worksheet. This is one sheet that goes across 2 pages. And 182 should be your Unit 7 test review. 183 should be that interim I gave you right before the Martin Luther King long weekend to show you if I had to give you a grade on your report card at that moment what it was. So that should be your end of second quarter interim. And 184 should be your Unit 7 test. There are other pages for page 185 through page 193, but they're going to go in the new notebook, so I'll do a separate video for those. This ends this notebook that you've had since the beginning of the year, and at this point, at the end of page 184, you need a new notebook for third and fourth quarter.